Hi, I'm Julianna Scott, and I'm here with Kelley Jensen.
Hi.
And we are the Refrigerator Moms.
Yep.
So, Kelley, this episode is going to be another one of our social media editions where you pull some posts from the world of social media.
Yep.
And I have not heard or read these. And
I try to shock you with what's out there. I'd love to do that.
It's easily done. But okay, go for it. What's our first one?
My house, my rules. Looking for opinions on two things said by professionals recently. One was for me to say my house, my rules as a response to the child trying to control others in the home. The other was being told that the child needs to accept something interrupting his usual routine and get used to being less rigid. For context, this was someone imposing an activity on him on a day when he had something very important already on, which would then have to miss. I don't want to give more info or thoughts on this at this stage, so I don't want to influence people's thoughts.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually not helpful. So, I'm going to give you less information so you can give me an opinion on what to do in my house.
Right. Totally.
Right. Already I have an opinion about that, but I don't think that's the opinion they're clearly not soliciting.
Well, what they want to hear is, was that guy giving me bad advice? Well, it's possible to get bad advice. Is it not possible to, you need validation that you didn't like being told my house, my rules, that's not something you should.
I do need a lot more context. My house, my rules, how old is this child? What are the circumstances? Yeah. And also, are you explaining to your child, why these are your rules?
If the professional was just say my house, my rules, that's not a great idea.
Yeah, which is just very old school, old school parenting, my house, my rules, that's it. Like I don't really care what your opinion is.
Right.
You're my child and you're following my rules.
Right.
But if you're parenting a child with autism, like sometimes they need a little more.
Right. Well, and again, shouldn't say who the professional was. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was maybe a teacher, maybe a doctor, people that don't have any training
probably
in behavioral.
Probably not an ABA therapist.
Yeah, probably, yes, because I would like to be clear that an ABA therapist would give you much more tools than my house, my rules.
Right.
Now, maybe if the child was hitting a sibling on a regular basis and that's it, my house, my rules. Sure. But even then, you should give them context of why we don't hit people, right? Give them alternatives. You don't hit a person, but you do hit a pillow or whatever, right?
Right.
And there's lots of strategies.
If you have some feelings and you need to get them out and you need to use your body, here's a way to do it.
So my house, my rules is not going to cut it. It's not a long-term strategy to a long-term problem. Right?
Definitely not.
Right. It's like the whole, if you give a man a fish, you give him one meal. Yeah. But if you teach a man to fish, right? And that principle should guide all of your parenting, no matter who your child is, right?
Right. I use the teach you to fish thing a lot.
Do you?
I do.
Well, and but here's the thing: is it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
8-year-old gets their entire childhood to learn to fish.
Well, but also facing defiance with kind of defiance is really not teaching.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity.
Modeling any kind of positive behavior there.
So I did want to validate her that it is possible to get bad advice from professionals.
Yes, if that's what we're going to validate, sure. Yeah, that's bad advice.
But also, without having the full conversation, there might have been some good advice in there. And
maybe, but we won't know.
We won't know. Because I don't think this person is above my house, my rules. Might have had a continuation sentence that we're not privy to.
Right.
But
that's very true.
On the face of it, it is, yes. Yes, you're right. It is possible for a professional to give you bad advice, and you have to bounce ideas, preferably off people who know you.
Yeah, give the actual context. If I just called you and said, do you think this is crap? I just, got this advice. I think you wouldn't just say,
I'd have a couple questions.
Yeah, I hope.
I would have a couple questions. Right. This episode of The Refrigerator Moms is brought to you by Brain Performance Technologies. Brain Performance Technologies is a specialty mental health clinic that offers neuromodulation treatments, including their latest protocol, SAINT. SAINT, or Stanford Accelerated Intelligent Neuromodulation Therapy, was developed at the Stanford Brain Stimulation Lab to provide rapid and lasting relief for patients struggling with treatment-resistant depression and major depressive disorder. SAINT delivers amazing results after only 5 days of treatment, including a 79% remission rate. The team at Brain Performance Technologies is licensed and trained to offer this protocol to qualifying patients. This one is not really necessarily a social media post, but I have mentioned it to you before, and I found the answer to it since our last conversation, so I wanted to revisit it. The concept of parent coaching. Do you remember when I said, how are these people in business, what are they doing? They don't have a license. They didn't go to school. They're not counselors. What are they that they are?
Are they just podcasters?
That are social media influencers. Yeah, they have these huge Instagram followings, these huge Facebook followings, and they're charging. I found one that charges $4,000 a month.
Wow. What do you get for that?
Parent coaching. So that's the loophole. So parent coaching is the loophole that these folks that are not counselors, that have no background in child development, that you are seeking their advice. And they're really just social media influencers, and they get huge followings, and they coach the parent. They can't work with the child, right? Because they're not licensed to work with the child.
So they're getting secondhand information. So they're not working with your child. It's just like,
I don't know.
I wonder what kind of advice they're getting.
So it's interesting. I don't know if the child be in the room, if the parent's in the room for a coaching session. I'm not sure. A lot of it is done online, and
let me guess, there's a package.
So there are certification programs. So you could if you decide you want to, if the refrigerator moms decide that we want to become parent coaches, which we don't, we never want to become a parent coach.
I don't want to do that.
We could go through a certification program.
Okay.
But I'd like to point out that the certification programs are largely put on by other coaches.
Oh, great.
So you would pay another coach to give you a certificate saying you're a coach.
Somebody who doesn't have a professional license of any kind is now coaching me to become a...
It could be. That could be. Or it could be that a person that is a licensed behaviorist does offer a coaching program that just offers a certification in their method. You know, sometimes you see that with people that are doing a very specific...
And this is specifically for autism?
This is across the board. People are using these parent coaches for everything, anything you can think of. They have no standardized or licensed regulations, so they can decide to become certified through some sort of a peer board, but they don't have to. They can just literally say, I'm a parent coach. And that's how you get some of that wacky, social media accounts inviting you to their seminar for $50 and,
Right.
Of course,
advice behind a paywall,
Of course, you can't bill insurance because they're not licensed. No. So the insurance carriers are putting a heavy no on that. There are some coaches that have managed to get themselves paid as respite.
Okay.
So some counties offer respite pay for, going to one of these, but not nearly what some of them charge, right?
No, it doesn't sound like it.
And it's largely a social media phenomenon. And you know that I am particularly against anything that you pay for that your child doesn't directly participate in.
Right. That's what I'm wondering. So have you looked at any of their social media posts? Like what these and what kind of advice are they giving?
Well, it's largely just renamed behavioral advice
ABA.
With a new it's ABA, but don't call it ABA, call it,
But it's antecedent behavior consequence, essentially.
Yes, you're going upstream to discover and kick the can down the road until you really discover a problem, and then you're going to have to let them have a meltdown. I mean, this is the sage advice you get after the paywall and after you have signed up for the $4,000 a month private trainings. Kind of crazy, right?
That is. I'm intrigued and repulsed at the same time.
We don't advise it, right? We advise you using a licensed therapist, or at the very least, if you're going to use these people, if they resonate with you as a parent, do a little study into. They're coming up with I guarantee you that kick the can down the road on screens until you discover the child is looking at porn is not the greatest advice, right?
I don't know. I know. I say this all the time, but this kind of general advice, it's just not always applicable. And that's why we're always saying it's like, see if this is right for your situation, your family, your kid. Right. So if this person is just talking to the parent, I guess, that still can hold value. Yes. I'm not saying that, and I have talked to therapists that kind of give me a little window into what, my son was going through. But she was a licensed psychologist with many years of experience with autism.
Yes.
So, and I knew that, and I wouldn't just sign up for getting advice from just somebody with tangential qualifications.
And they beef up their qualifications all kinds of ways, but It's one thing if it's $120 that you're
Sure.
paying for a seminar that is behind a paywall.
Right. You pay $4,000, you're going to listen to that advice.
$4,000 is you could get a licensed child development specialist for $4,000.
Yes.
And I know a lot of them don't. A lot of licensed therapists don't take insurance anymore, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pay that kind of money, spend that kind of money for somebody with a license. And
I think your dollars are better spent.
Yeah.
This episode of The Refrigerator Moms is brought to you by Brain Performance Technologies. Brain Performance Technologies is a specialty mental health clinic that offers magnetic e-resonance therapy, or MERT, for autistic people aged 3 or older. MERT is a transcranial magnetic stimulation protocol that utilizes an EEG diagnostic to deliver personalized magnetic pulses to stimulate the brain and build neural pathways effective in managing autistic symptoms.
Ready for another one?
Yep.
Boredom.
Okay.
Boredom is an issue that comes up for kids, right? A lot of times kids don't know it and not have any leisure skills. I'm saturated in guilt, distress, and shame watching my almost 9-year-old sitting in his room bored to death. He doesn't want to do what I'm doing because he doesn't like doing jobs. His words, I can't play 24/7 and I have to do life. The sun is out. It's an amazing day, but now all I can think about is him sitting in there. Nothing I suggest outside of screen is taken up. I don't know how to hold this space because boredom isn't a motivator for some of us, and I get that. But I can't be the sole playmate, and his friends have had enough of him only wanting to be with their video games. I am heartbroken.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Boredom is real.
Boredom is real, and I acknowledge her heartbreak.
Yes.
Boredom is real, and this comes up a lot in the conversations around screen time, that screens often replace that sense of boredom. If kids are bored, they just revert to screens.
Yep.
But then, of course, that leads to addiction and other issues.
Yes.
And I think back, and people often ask, like, what did we do before screens?
Right.
And
it's a good question.
It is. Well, what did you do before screens?
I played outside. I played with my sister. I played, with toys. I baked when I got a little bit older. There was a lot of baking going on in our house, cooking, experimenting with cooking.
Sometimes I was just bored. But I can understand in
a lot of reading. I'm sure you did a lot.
Did a lot of reading.
Okay.
I did do a lot of reading. Yeah. I loved being in my room by myself.
Yeah.
I was never. I got to say this. I was never bored.
Yeah.
Because I was just I was happy as a clam.
Yeah.
Just being in my room doing puzzles and playing outside. I actually played a lot outside. It's different for kids with autism.
Yes.
And so I want to acknowledge that.
Yes.
That boredom can lead to high anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So I know from my experience with my son, when he was bored of something, got tapped out, it often led to a meltdown. He just didn't know what to do with himself, and that was hard. And so I was given the advice that his attention span for an activity would last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so
20 whole minutes.
So a lot of my springs would be in preparation for the long summers, where every 20 minutes we would need to shift activities.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of activities. So I got a lot of advice from our ABA therapists, and they gave me the great advice of creating theme weeks. It was really fun. I mean, it was a lot of work. I say it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. Let me backtrack.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work.
Right.
But it was, we could do things like, lean into his special interests and involve his brother.
Right.
We did all sorts of things like Animal Week. So we would take, field trips to, zoos or farms, or doing the things. And then anything we had, he loved to play games. We would select games that had animal themes, or, card games, or I think we had a dinosaur week. That was an easy one, because there's so many things with dinosaurs, and we would play dinosaurs, and every 20 minutes we would have things. And we would build in things like, he could pick. Like, I had a range of things that I had a little sheet, and he could pick things.
I sort of want you to arrange a day for me. I would like one of your theme days.
What would your theme be? I could do a theme week.
I don't even care. Like, I'm down for the dinosaur theme. I just want to do something you have prepped and done all the work
But no,
for.
we did berry picking. We did, we did all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like
I think the point this woman is making, and the reason I picked it is because she doesn't want to do all those things.
No, I know. And it's hard.
It is hard.
It is hard. And I totally acknowledge that I had the luxury of not having a full-time job.
Right.
So I want to acknowledge that right off the bat. I was home all that time. And this was my,
your job.
This was my job.
Right.
It's not like I was, waking up every morning going, oh my God, I can't wait to go to the berry farm.
Right.
Although the berry farm was fun.
On. That was a bad example. That was a bad example.
Yeah, that was a bad example. But I guess my takeaway for that one would be, it's like, yes, it's hard, but it does take some effort to provide kids who don't have the ability to amuse themselves,
right?
And to regulate themselves, to help them with that.
Yeah.
And if that's even giving them choices where they can do some things independently, like, okay, now we're gonna and it helps to chunk it in 20 minutes. It's like, okay, three things an hour I gotta come up with. So maybe 20 minutes is coloring, and then another 20 minutes is Legos, and another 20, whatever it is. Yeah. Like, I literally wrote lists of things that I could pick from.
Even if you just work that screen in, and the screen is 20 minutes, and then you cut it.
And absolutely. And that's when, you get to do something yourself, like laundry.
Or look on the screen yourself.
Or look on your screen. Like, this is, mommy and kids screen time.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, you get, or, and I'm sure I did this, like, we get to, fold in a video where we all sat there and watched a video of the theme or something.
100%.
Boredom is real, but it's like just giving up and saying, well, they're just going to check out is hard. And you can't rely on, all the kids want to play. But again, fold in the play dates, fold in that stuff.
Well, this comes up a lot because this is what happens with unlimited screen time. Yeah. You do it for a year and you've got a kid that can't come out of their room. And we are always saying, be mindful of your habits. And if you are reading some of these parenting groups and you're reading this issue that's very raw, emotional post about boredom, is it the habit that you've created? And you got to break it. My advice to this woman, that's why not having ABA is a bad idea, because they will work on those. I mean, they'd give us a little homework to do, and then that would help guide, we're going to pay sorry once, or, and these kids don't want to take direction, but they also do want to take direction because they don't want to be bored either. So, I mean, some of the advice to just let them be in their room and play on their screens for 8 hours, you end up in this situation. So I caution all parents. And then when you go to rein it in, you've got meltdowns that you put off by letting them be on the screen. So
and it goes for all your kids.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Refrigerator Moms. We have a free download that includes a full list of practical to-dos we shared in this episode on our website. Our refrigerator paper, our version of the white paper, includes additional what would we do's and background information on everything we talked about today. Find it on our website, refrigeratormoms.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter. We'd also love to hear your questions. Send them in along with future podcast topics by connecting with us on your favorite social media.
Thanks for listening.
Please note that the information provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only, and it is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. The opinions and views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests. Any recommendations or suggestions made are based on personal experiences and beliefs and should not be taken as definitive advice. It's important to consult with appropriate professionals for personalized guidance. A full list of citations and sources for this episode can be found in our refrigerator paper available on our website.